All right, I want to do this video because apparently there are people who, in the comment section of my last community post, who were saying, Brian doesn't want to debate. He wants to focus on the low-hanging fruit. He doesn't want his ideas challenged like he says, and he censors our comments. Guys, I want to let you know, since I've been on the internet, from day one, I've never censored one person's comment. I hate censorship. If people want to say stupid, nasty, disgusting stuff on my page, go ahead. As far as I'm concerned, that's the free market. If you want to be stupid, if you want to be disgusting, if you want to be insane, go ahead. I'm not stopping you. I don't care. I think the world should hear what you have to say so that they can know, determine for themselves, because I'm not your parent. They can determine for themselves whether they want to hang around and agree or disagree with what you said. And I want them to know what kind of person you actually are. The best way to let somebody know what kind of person you are is open your mouth. Type it out. Tell people what's on your heart. Words are vehicles of thought, and those words arise in the mind from your heart. It tells you what kind of person you are. So I wouldn't censor anybody's stuff, because I wouldn't want to be censored. I don't want my voice to be silenced. It's like I always say, censorship is forcing a voice into silence. It's the violence of forcing somebody into silence. That's what it is. Second thing is, I'm not a debater. If somebody wants to debate me, I'll say, hey, hold on a second. I'll have a conversation with you. I think my ideas, I think my message is a message of freedom. It's a message of liberty. It's a message of voluntarism. It's a message that stands against tyranny. And I think that's most of the people in our community. Whether you call yourself a First Amendment auditor or a journalist or exercising the freedom of press or whatever. And I know it sounds cliche, but if we don't use our rights, we will lose them. It's just like anything in the physical world. If you don't pay attention to your muscle, it's going to atrophy. If you don't pay attention to your brain and feed your brain, it's going to go away. It's going to deteriorate. You're going to lose whatever you had. Same with rights. If you don't exercise them, they're gone. Go ahead and say bye-bye. So I'm not a debater, but I will have a conversation with somebody, because my message is a message of voluntarism. It's voluntary, mutual, consensual relationships between adults. If somebody doesn't want to have a relationship with you, then they're free to not have a relationship with you. But what government does is they force you into a relationship. We see this time and time again with auditing channels. They'll just be minding their own business, recording in public, which is their First Amendment right to do. And a public servant who swore to uphold that right wants to have a conversation with them, and they get ticked off when you don't talk to them. So then what do? They go hands-on. They break out the torture cuffs. They throw you in the back of that cop car. They kidnap you. And what was your crime? Oh, you didn't want to interact with them on a voluntary basis. So they coerced you. They forced you. They used the brutality of the state to come against you and make you do something you didn't want to do. That's what I'm against. That is the epitome of tyranny. Being a tyrant is being an oppressor and forcing somebody to do something that they don't want to do, to go somewhere where they don't want to go, to give up money they don't want to give up, to steal, to rob, to destroy, to brutalize, to be violent against. That's tyranny. That's oppression. That's the state. That's government. It's this idea that this group of people has the right to rule you and rob you, and you can't do anything about it. That's nonsense. That's how a society degrades. That's how they build mass graves and shove dead bodies into it, because people just go along with the concept of government. Oh, I think I'll bow to the supreme overlord. Do I even have a choice? Yeah, you got a choice. And other people have a choice. And if we all stand together against tyranny, maybe we can make some headway for freedom in this world. Maybe we wouldn't have nonsense going on like fake stream, CIA infiltrated Operation Mockingbird, MK Ultramedia, and suppressing all these news stories like the toxins that are being spewed in the air and on the land and in the waters of the people of Palestine, Ohio. But you got major suppression. You got, from what I've read, you've got a Chernobyl level event going on in East Palestine, Ohio. And then nobody wants to talk about the act of war that Victoria Nuland and Joe Biden committed against all of the world, this act of war by blowing up Nord Stream 2. And I'm just a simpleton, guys. I feel like the people who blew it up are the people who said they were going to blow it up. And I believe them. You said if Russia did this, well, we're blowing it up. Guess what? You did that 2 or 3 weeks before Russia, quote, invaded. So how's that? So we got bigger fish to fry here. If somebody wants to debate me, I'll have a conversation with them. But my stance is this. I don't want to force anybody against their will and against their consent to do something that they don't want to do. If I do that and I transgress that and I go against that line of their individual rights, then I have become a criminal. And I don't care if I call myself government, I call myself a senator, a congressman, a policeman. If I force you to do something you don't want to do, I have become a criminal. Doesn't matter if I have a shiny badge and a costume on. If you force somebody against their will, there are names for this. If you force somebody to have sex with you that doesn't want to have sex, that's called rape. If you force somebody into giving you their property that doesn't want to give you their property willingly, that's called theft. If you force a life away from somebody who wants to continue living, that's called murder. But somehow with government, now we have legalized rape. We have legalized theft. We have legalized murder. We have legalized road pirates. That's what's wrong with this world, is the legalization of criminality. If you want to put another name on government other than the right to rule or oppressors who have their way against you, it's the legalization of criminality, the legalization of theft, murder, and rape, the legalization of things that if you did the same things in your life that government does to you, you would rightly be seen by society as a criminal. So what's the debate? What's the debate? You know the way I really view this thing, because I'm very simple. Call it whatever you want to. I don't think life is as complex as people want you to think it is. But I view all of us like a community of 100 who got into a plane wreck, and now we're clinging to driftwood, and we're drifting toward this island in the middle of the Pacific that nobody's ever heard of, and they don't know you're there. So there's all 100 of us on this island. Guess what? We're going to have to get along. We're going to have to defend each other against whatever wild animals or evil stuff that might befall us on this island. It'd be way better if we all got together and said, hey, you know what? We may not agree on certain things, but there's one thing I'm sure of. I want to make it off this island. Do you want to make it off this island? I want to see my family. Do you want to see your family? Okay, here's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to find out who specializes in fishing, who specializes in hunting, who specializes in making a campfire or setting up a tent or creating a house out of nothing. Who specializes in that? Let's mutually cooperate, voluntarily cooperate with each other for the safety and welfare of us all. I got no problem with this. Mutual cooperation and coordination is key to survival, especially in that situation like that, right there. So that's how I view us. I view us as 100 people shipwrecked on a desert island with a whole bunch of wild animals, and we better get our heads out of our collective arses. I don't care if you're liberal. I don't care if you're conservative. I don't care if at the mainland you're a Republican or if you're a Democrat. We got to make it off this island. We better start getting along. It's no different than being on terra firma. It's no different from being on the planet or on the earth, whatever you want to call it. We got to get together. And there are forces aligned against us. There are wild animals and beasts of the field called oligarchs, called corporate engineers, called social engineers, called psychological operators who are launching an attack against us and against our minds 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we better get our heads out of our butts and come together and do something about it. Because if we don't, we're going to lose everything. So just bottom line is, anarchy is no rulers. It doesn't mean that there are no rules. Rules are good, but the rules have to be rooted in something. The voluntarism has to be rooted in something. And what is that? Mutual respect and regard for your fellow human beings. And if anybody violates that, well, they've become an enemy of the group. You don't want an enemy of the group. You got to root out the enemy of the group. And the justice has to come quickly. It has to come swiftly. It has to be just. It has to be consistent. So that's where I stand. I'm an anarchist. I believe that there is no such thing as somebody who has a higher claim over your life and property than you. I believe that it is fundamentally wrong. It's immoral to initiate unjust force and violence on peaceful people who haven't harmed or threatened to harm anybody. If you haven't harmed, threatened to harm anybody, stolen their stuff, damaged their property, and weren't willing to pay for it, then you're not a criminal and you should be left alone. If somebody's not leaving you alone, then that person who's messing with you is a criminal and needs to be dealt with by a just society. That's where I stand. What's the debate? What's the debate? You're an anarchist or you're a statist? You believe that nobody has the right to rule, or you believe that people have the right to rule and rob you? And that is a fundamentally, the statist position is a fundamentally immoral position, and the anarchist or voluntarist position is a fundamentally morally, common sense, consistent position. What's the debate? Who is going to argue against that? I'll have a conversation with somebody, but as soon as they tell me it's okay to rob and rule other people, as long as we can build a road, or as long as we can have running water, or as long as we can have that public school, you have crossed the line of morality. If I'm wrong, leave a comment. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe to my private email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. If you want to support the channel, grab a hard-hitting conversation starting design that you can get from the store, put it on any shirt, hoodie, mug, cell phone case, hat, whatever you want. Always record the police, by the way. Always record government officials, because they assume that they have authority over you, and when they abuse that authority, they need to be exposed. I'll see you guys in the next video.